created some of your favorite Blur songs. He has a successful solo career with his most recent album, A&E, having come out in 2012. He can probably play more instruments than you can, and he's a well-established visual artist in his free time. Blur has recently released The Magic Whip. Graham, thank you so much for checking in.
Yeah, pretty good. It's nice and sunny here. It's quite hot for England.
Oh, we're jealous. So I have to start by asking, what is The Magic Whip?
The Magic Whip, well, it's an album by Blur. It's also a firework, like a firecracker. Damon got the packaging to one of these fireworks in his book of notes, I think. Apparently, when he was in Iceland at New Year, China sent over a boat, one boat just full of fireworks, just for Iceland, and they drop them all off in Iceland and then go home again, and Iceland blows itself up. And this was the packaging to one of those fireworks, and it's called a Magic Whip.
So is that the sort of energy that you guys were thinking of with this album? You're like, it's pretty explosive, so we have to name it after something like that?
I guess. It had a working title of Made in Hong Kong or Made in China or something like that, but we just thought that was a bit dull and a bit obvious. We like to be slightly obscure with our humour. And so we were just thinking about something else that meant a little bit more, that meant more to people individually. Maybe they could Magic Whip. What's that? It's magic. Is it spells? Is it a whip? Is it ice cream? Is it control? Is it something a bit naughtier? Or so it's kind of it's up to you really how you want to see it.
I like that. Open to interpretation.
Yeah.
How did that album come to be? Tell us the story of how this all came to occur.
Well, we were touring. Well, not touring. We were kind of like going to places and playing. And we were in Hong Kong. And we had a couple more dates ending in Jakarta before we came home. But these couple more dates got cancelled. There was one in Japan, and I think Taiwan too. And this Japanese festival got cancelled, and we were like, well, 5 days, and 5 days in the Mandarin Hotel in Hong Kong. I was thinking, great, I'll put my feet up, and all the rest of it, have a rest, go, swim in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Damon says, I tell you what, it would be a great idea if we find a studio, and I've got a few ideas, chord sequences and stuff like that. Let's go and jam, man. And I was like, oh, okay. But actually, I thought, yeah, that's a great idea, but my rest is going out the window. So that's what we did. We traveled on the subway every day in that crazy city, and went to this little kind of hot little studio, and sort of jammed around for 7 to 8 hours over 5 days. And that was that.
So I'm curious. There had been a bit of a break. And the reason for the break was a disagreement between the guys. You went off, you made your own albums and, had your own label. It was a lot of you having complete control over a lot of your work. What brought you back to Blur? What made it the right time for you guys to put another album out?
I don't know. We got back together. We've been playing a load of shows. I guess just for our own therapeutic reasons, really, because we'd missed each other, etc., and we just wanted to get back together again and play and start to... It sounds all very dramatic. I'm not sure it was that dramatic when we went our separate ways, I think it was going to happen sooner or later. We just needed a really good rest after the 90s, It was a bit hectic. And I think it was going to happen sooner or later anyway. But time was right for us to get back together and do shows. And then... after a while, we were doing shows, and we were getting a bit embarrassed that we were doing shows and not having any new material. And then the next step was we were getting nagged a lot by fans and stuff to record some new stuff, and that's all very well, but there just wasn't much time with everyone doing other stuff, and we didn't just want to shove something together and it'd be terrible, Yeah. So that was the next thing, whether we still had that creative thing, in the studio, whether we could still spark in that way. So I guess we tried it out, making a couple of songs, but they were kind of for events, really. One was for a record store day, And then we had another song called Under the Westway, which was for the sort of Olympics, really. So they were sort of celebratory songs for specific sort of events, but we'd never really got deep with everything, like, and I think the idea of organising 3 months to go and record somewhere in a formal kind of way was just like something that wasn't really turning us on very well much.
Yeah.
So this album just sort of came from nothing by accident. It sort of started its process without us really knowing. So it was quite crafty. And after Hong Kong, it just sort of, we all got on with our lives again, and the recordings and the jam sessions they sat around for like 18 months before I just thought, God, there must be something there. It must be worth going back and checking it out, see if it can be made into an album or whatever. What we got to lose. It felt good doing it. So there must be something good there, right? That's what I thought. So that's what I did.
We've really been enjoying Lonesome Street here at The Current, and you share lead vocals on that song. And I know the whole album came together really, really fast, but was there anything behind that song or any story you can tell us about that?
And Lonesome Street, I don't know. That was the first thing we attempted to jam around in Hong Kong. It was quite slow to start with, but we sort of speeded it up so it had a kind of, strolling up the street sort of thing. You over there would think it's really British sounding, and I guess it does reference a lot of English. It sort of references some funny towns in England, and it has a kind of quite a Pink Floyd-y bit in the middle. But I like the idea of it. It's kind of like careering through a city on a night out, that song, really, and then going into sort of like a weird 60s club in the middle, and there's Syd Barrett singing, and then we come out of there again, and it's kind of like, it's about tarmac and moving fast through a city. I'm not quite sure. It's something like that, really.
Well, now I'm not going to be able to ever get that picture out of my head when I hear it. So I'm curious, after having so much control over your own music, was it hard or maybe a little bit of a vulnerability to go back to sharing so much and having to be open to other people's ideas and opinions?
I think I was slowly trying to be less having a control problem, introducing producers into my solo work, other musicians, etc., and seeing what, having faith that other people can do their job good as well. I think that's the thing to get past. But with this, I did have 4 weeks with the album all to myself, with Stephen Street, so I could get everything out of my system, really try out all of my ideas on the stuff, and there was whole sections of the album that I wrote myself and slotted in there, because jam sessions are a bit boring for everyone else to listen to. If you're in the band doing it, it's kind of okay, but other people's jam sessions are really dull. So I had to sort of write bits, like middle eights and other sections that would join this section to that section, and when a chord sequence was getting boring, try and write a new one, and so it remained exciting, and so that there was some dynamics within the song, and it had a good shape overall, and all of this stuff. And I found out that's the stuff that I really like doing, like the mechanic, like one of the songs would be an hour long, and I trusted Streety to cut out all the rubbish, and then the sort of components would be lying there, and just sort of put them together like a model airplane or something, really. So it was good fun. That's like my favorite thing to do. So I did have it all to myself, so I did have quite a lot of control, but then, I did have to just say, this is what we've done, Damon. Sing your bits now, and put some keyboards on it and things like that. But I was really looking forward to what he was going to come up with, and he was really inspired, so it seems like, for him it would have been really weird, because he hadn't heard anything since the jam sessions in Hong Kong, and then suddenly he's got these 12 structured songs. So that must have been really strange for him.
You have so many things that you're interested in. I wonder, has there ever been a moment in your career, in your life, where you thought, man, I should just have been an accountant and done all of these things as just hobbies and kept the whole money issue out of making music or making art or any of your projects?
Oh, yeah. I always want a simpler life, particularly recently, when I just kind of want things to be quiet, And with technology and everything else, life is more and more complicated. It drives me mad. So yeah, I would like to, I don't know, work in a pub, go home and live in a nice small house and not have too much rubbish lying around like I do at home. And but it's just not the way it is. And I try. No, it's just not possible. But maybe one day, But we keep making music. When we make music, then we have all this kind of complicated, busy stuff going on afterwards, like now, and everything is in chaos. So I would like to be it to be simpler. But apparently, a really great job is to be a postman, because you just sort of walk around and you put letters through people's doors. Not particularly taxing, and as you're doing it, if you've got any brains, it's really great for thinking up ideas.
So are you a planner? Are you always on to your next project?
No, I'm always planning always planning to just sort of sit on the sofa, and I keep it day to day. I'm like, I plan to sit on the sofa about 4:30, maybe have a little sleep, That's about as much in the future as I plan. I mean, other people are planning stuff for us, of course, which is a bit of a pain, but, it's just that's the job I do. People say, okay, this weekend it's really busy. We're going to Spain and France, and just starting ramping up now, starting to travel quite a lot. So we're on the aeroplanes and all the rest of it. So it's getting a bit crazy. But I won't regret it. I think this is a lovely chapter in the Blur story, and I'd like to do it really properly and work as hard as I can, because soon it'll all be over.
And then you'll be working in the pub and chilling out in the rest of the day.
Doing my postal round and then going to the pub and pulling a few pints.
Graham Coxon, thank you so much for your time. This has been lovely.
Thanks a lot. It's been very nice. Cheers.